Okay, whoops, my hair's a little goofy. Okay, I'm live on YouTube and Facebook. There we go. Okay. Just waiting for everyone to turn up. Hello, just waiting for people to turn up here. This is one of my regularly scheduled lives. I feel off today. You know how some days you just feel like everything's hard. My brain just isn't working right now. Anyway, I'll do my best. I usually pick up as I go along. So let me see. What language is that? What is that alphabet there? It's dot is watching. Where are you from? I'm just curious. I got clients all over the world. I've learned a lot about different cultures. That's been fascinating. What's that language? Is that Arabic or something? What is that language? Curious. I've never been able to master a second language. My brain doesn't go sideways. I really struggle with that. I just can't go sideways. Like I can't do puns or anything. If you have to think, outside the box, I can't do it. Yeah, I'd love to know a different language. It'd be fascinating. Okay, just waiting for people to turn up. I've just got, let me see, about 30 people here so far, so we'll wait. My smallest platform is YouTube, so it's a good place to watch the lives because I'm more likely to see your questions on there. I'm on YouTube the whole time I'm doing my live, and I jump from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok. I don't do them every day now. I think for a couple of years I was doing lives every single day. I don't have time to do that right now, but I'm on here maybe 4 or 5 times a week. So where are you from? While we're waiting, I'd love to know where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. It's actually a sunny day today. We're getting colder though. So where are you from? Vanderhoof. Why have I heard? I know Vanderhoof, but what happened in Vanderhoof years ago that made big news? I can't remember what it was, but it was in the news a lot. It's Vanderhoof, BC. It's a town, I think. Is it even big enough to be a city? I'm not sure. It's in British Columbia here. Anyway, it was in the news a while ago, quite a while ago. Anyway, Lincoln, Nebraska, welcome. Nebraska, California, Houston, Tampa. Excellent. St. Louis, Lemoore, California. Never heard of Lemoore. Never heard of that. Kelowna, BC, but live in Costa Rica. Excellent. Lincoln. Oh, 2 of you from Lincoln. Okay, let's get going. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses, or you can look into coaching. Vallejo, California. Is that what that is? Vallejo? It wouldn't be Vallejo, would it? Or is it Vallejo? I don't know. Okay, so let's get going with, Seattle. Hi, Seattle. We're neighbors. I went down there to pick up my son. He was coming back from Europe, and I don't know why, but they flew into Seattle. And I decided I'll just pop down and pick you up. I think I drove for 8 solid hours because I was in rush hour. So it's the last time I've been to Seattle. And that was the only time I'd hydroplaned on the highway. I was hydroplaning on my minivan. It was loaded with people and luggage, and I was hydroplaning. I've never done that before. It's kind of frightening. Ashtabula, Ohio. Never heard of that before. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I've heard of that. Okay, so let's get going with your questions. I'll do my best to answer them. I don't answer all questions because I like to mix up the ages. And plus, I like to throw some of my own stuff in there because most of the questions are about discipline. Discipline is really a tiny part of what I teach. I'm more about teaching connection with kids. Okay, Cold Lake, Alberta. I've never heard of that before. Such a good question. Sarah on YouTube. Should I fulfill a request during a tantrum? My 2-year-old will say, put the baby down. We have a newborn. Or I want a drink. Or I wait. Or no. Do you wait? Wait till the tantrum's over. You completely ignore a tantrum. Once they're having a tantrum, you go into ignoring. You're filing your nails, that kind of thing. Yeah, you just ignore a tantrum. I have a course on tantrum busting if you're interested. It's one of my mini courses in the link. It would be in the description in YouTube because you're on YouTube. My hair is a little goofy today. I tried to straighten my hair the other day. Anyone else have curly hair? It just goes frizzy when you straighten it. Anyway, so I feel like a mess today. Okay. How do I help my 4-year-old son through grief? Our cat had to be put down on Monday, and over the weekend, my husband went into the ER. Ultimately, he had ICU for 3 days. Geez, you know what? Some things you just can't help kids through. Some things are just difficult. Some things just hurt. Grief is, I went through grief. My dad died when I was a kid. It was hell. That nothing could have helped me. The only thing that kind of helped, like when you're dealing with that, is other people who are going through the same thing. So yeah, if he knew someone else who had a dad in the hospital or someone else, but even that, he's only 4. Not much you can do. It's just painful. Everyone wants to relieve their kids' pain. Sometimes life is just painful. My son's go-to response was anger toward me all weekend. Yeah, it's an emotion. It's easier than crying. Crying's more painful than angry outbursts. So that's why he did that. But yeah, I would just cop it. I don't have an answer for everything. Well, that is the answer, that you can't help them through everything. You just got to be there. My 2.2-year, 4-month-old isn't talking yet. Should I be concerned? I can't answer that because it could be a speech impairment. What do they call that? Language development issue. But generally, some kids don't talk till they're 3. So yeah, I can't assess that. But yeah, I knew someone years and years ago. She didn't talk or walk till she was 3. Then her mother always told that story and said, then she at 3, on her 3rd birthday, she got up and ran and never shut up. So she just was in no rush. So yeah. My 11-month-old starts yelling and fussing in his high chair at dinner. I don't want to end dinner early, but is he too? It's a tantrum, but is he finished dinner? Like, is he finished eating and he's still sitting there? Yeah, I would just get him down. If he's finished eating, then put him down. Clean him up and put him down. He's really little. He's still a baby. How can I get my 5-year-old to focus on his teacher during rug time? You work on your leadership skills at home, and that will go over to school. So yeah, but he's 5 years old. If he's not listening to the teacher, I would say, you know what? From now on, if you're misbehaving at school, there'll be a consequence when you get home. And I would put down, do what the teacher says or something. Just don't worry about that. But just put down whatever you think's appropriate. Listen to the teacher, or behave at school. And if he doesn't, then when he comes home, there's a consequence. There's no anger in any of this. Check out the behavior board. It's completely free. And you just put down, listen to the teacher at school. And if not, then there'll be a consequence when you get home. So he'll learn eventually. We all learn through consequences. It's not discussing things. Discussing things is, what's the word I'm thinking of? Oh yeah, useless. It has to be a consequence. You should listen to the teacher. It's the right thing to do. Okay, problem solved. No, there's got to be a consequence. Okay, didn't listen to the teacher. Now you're going to be cleaning the toilet or emptying the dishwasher. Get him to do a chore. If he won't do that, then media blackout for 24 hours, something like that. It's consequences that teach us how to keep ourselves in line and do the right thing. As adults, we lead our lives through consequences. We pay our mortgage because we don't want to lose our house. We don't shoplift when we go to the supermarket because we don't want to go to jail. You see what I mean? It's consequences that keep us all in line. I like to think I would do the right thing anyway, but you know what I'm saying. Basically, it's consequences. My 6-year-old still has tantrums. Check out the boot camp course. The boot camp is all about you and your leadership skills. Remember, we're never fixing kids here. We're fixing and teaching parents. If he's still having tantrums past the age of 3.5 to 4, then that means that it's working. They only do what works past the age of 4. So yeah, you must be feeding it somehow. You have to be, unless he has got some medical issue, but yeah, check out the boot camp course. I like you a lot. Very wise and honest. I don't know about wise. I got some wisdom. Yeah, I got some experience and wisdom. That's hard to beat, I'll tell you, when it comes to parenting, because it is so experience based. You think you got kids figured out, but unless you've lived with teenagers right through the adult years, you just learn so much. And I've worked with hundreds of kids. There's a lot of stuff I know nothing about, but kids, teenagers, I just get it. I just do. But I've spent decades figuring them out. I was obsessed with trying to figure kids out, because I always thought if I can figure out kids and teenagers, I can figure out myself and adults too, because that's where we all came from. I kind of like psychology, but really I don't like what other people tell me is what's happening, because I usually disagree with it. I figured it out myself. But I worked with kids for years and years and years, and I loved it. Okay, good question. This is from Allison Fogarty. You've been here before. I think I remember that name. Sibling rivalry. When you are a leader parent, do you still see sibling rivalry? No, it ends. When kids have a leader as a parent, they don't fight. It's very rare. It just is very rare, unless something really weird happens. But yeah, there's two things that when you're a leader, when you set yourself up as a leader, you've got these really good leadership skills after you've done the course or whatever, worked with me. Once you're a leader as a parent, they stop fighting and the attitude goes away. Those are the last two things to go. The second to last thing to go is fighting. And then the last thing to go is attitude towards you. But it happens organically once you're a leader. You can't work on attitude, and sibling rivalry is hard to work with until you're a leader. The reason is most sibling rivalry is as a result of feeling there's injustices. When there's a leader in the house, they don't feel that way. They feel like you know how to make things fair. Not every single time, but you know how to make things just in the house. Leaders do that. Leaders take charge. Leaders are very good at making things fair and reasonable in the house, right? Yeah. So yeah, it does take care of itself. I get this quite often. Parents will hire me in coaching for something, and I'll say, no, that's what you got to have some leadership skills under your belt first before we can deal with that. Sibling rivalry, especially with older kids, is one of those things. We can't deal with that in session 1 or even session 2, usually. With older kids like 8, 9, 10, especially teenagers, you got to have some leadership skills under your belt before you deal with sibling rivalry. We do deal with it, but yeah, it's not the first thing we deal with. Unless they're really little, we can do more, but even then it's trickier. You gotta work on yourself. I teach parenting. I don't teach kidding. We're not fixing kids. We're fixing and teaching parents. How do you respond when they ask who a favorite child may be? Well, you don't. You just say, I don't have a favorite. But my kids, they both tried this once, and they said, not fair. You love him more than you love me. Now, this was my response. Now, remember, I'm sarcastic, and my kids were used to me. I had a wild sense of humor. So when my daughter said that to me, I said, of course I love him more than I love you. No comparison. And she'd be like, okay, never mind. Like, that didn't work. And then my son said the same thing. Oh, you're favoring her. That's because I love her more than I love you. Always have, always will. Oh, never mind. You see, you can't do that unless you've got that real confidence with your good relationship with your kids. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't suggest that if you're at war with your kids at all. But yeah, I wouldn't address it. I say, I don't have a favorite. You must have it. No. And then I would say, it was funny because then they'd say something. I'd say, oh, now she's my favorite. No, wait, now you're my favorite. So I'd go back and forth. So then I would just use it for a while, like, oh no, now you're my favorite. Oh, wait a minute. No, you're my favorite. So we'd go back and forth, and they'd say, okay, Mom, let up. Sorry I asked. Sorry I brought it up. Yeah, I can't be manipulated. Don't buy into that stuff. They're just trying to get you. Okay. Okay, no, and I'm going to answer. Sorry, I have to answer this way, but this is for Amina Coleman on YouTube. Any tips for someone with anxiety that is triggered by baby crying or throwing a tantrum? No. Like, what I mean is you can't stop a baby from crying and you can't stop a toddler from tantruming. You can help diminish tantrums over time, but not initially. So that's your own personal battle. I don't teach parents how to handle their own anxiety. I teach them how to set themselves up as leaders so life gets easier. but your anxiety is not my specialty. Do you understand what I'm saying? I can make life easier for you as a parent, but it is a live Q&A, Canis, for example. Yeah. Yeah, if you're new here, my name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. I'm not a psychic. Sometimes people think I'm a psychic. Someone came on here. I remember, and they said, "Oh, well, I meet the man of my dreams in the next year." And I'm like, and then someone said, "Oh, she thinks you're a psychic." It's funny. I hope you do. I don't know. But what do you do about a bossy 2-year-old? She tries to tell me where to sit, to get up, to play, come over here, go over there. If we don't do it, she gets a little more pushy. Should we adhere to? Oh, I'd just get up and leave the room. Yeah, I would just get up and leave the room. Send the message. It's not words here, it's actions. So if she's being all pushy and sit there, I'd just keep sitting where I was. Or if she started pushing me around, I'd probably get up and leave. Let them know they can't push you around. If she's doing that, that says to me it must work. Like even at 2, if she's doing that, if she's getting pushy with you, it must mean it's working. She must be feeling some power to do that. Yeah. I said it right. Oh, goodness. The first time for everything. You mainly help with toddlers? No, I specialize in teenagers. It's just when people turn up to my lives, it's usually parents of toddlers. But yeah, I specialize in teen crisis work. So, but I deal with everything. But I started my business doing teen crisis or all crisis work, actually, abused kids or whatever. So yeah, but teenagers are my favorite age. So if you have questions about teenagers, not many people do. If you put a teenage question in here, I'll be diving on that so fast because I hardly get any of those. That's my favorite age. So a lot of my clients have teenagers, coaching clients. Do you help with 10 and 11-year-olds? Yep, tweens, yep, all ages, up to 18. My oldest client, like parent with a kid, was 25. And that was because they were still living at home. They weren't working. They were completely financially dependent on their parent. So it was like arrested development, right? They just hadn't grown up yet. So that was the oldest I've ever worked with, was 25. But they had to be living at home, no job, financially dependent upon their parents. It was, yeah. So like they just hadn't developed yet in a lot of ways. But yeah, we worked on that. That's what I want to do for a career. What's what you want to do for a career? Parent coach? I get asked this quite often, or maybe once every week or 2, is I want to be a parent coach too. If that's what you're talking about. It's, okay. Parent coaching, I always tell people this, and then I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I always say, if you're going to take advice from someone on parenting, make sure they have these 2 criteria. They have to have finished the job with their own kids. Well, they have to have kids, and they have to have finished the job, because parenting is personal. If you haven't lived it, how can you teach it? It's so personal. It's not like anything else. Huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists. I can't do their jobs. They struggle with parenting. It's personal. Anyway, so they have to finish the job right through to adulthood. They have to have raised kids so they know what it's like to live with teenagers. The other one is I didn't learn a lot with my own kids. I got respect when they were tiny and kind of sailed right through. They have to have had experience with hundreds of other kids with all sorts of challenges. Now, if you don't have those 2 criteria and you want to be a parenting coach, you could potentially focus on something like sleep training, or just teach like little niche things with younger children. You don't want to get into the big psychological stuff yet because you don't have the experience to know how to get them through those teen years. Everything I do, I work backwards. I'm always trying to, even when I'm hired by parents with toddlers, I just did this with a client. And I said, all I'm doing is thinking about your teenage years. You've only got like a 2-year-old, but I know how to get you into those teen years and set you up right for that. So that's the whole thing. So don't do any big psychological sort of big picture stuff. Focus on smaller stuff like potty training or stuff like that. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, because this is serious stuff. I take this very seriously. And yeah, anyway, I've been teaching this for 17 years, but I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11, 52 years ago. So I've been working around kids for 52 years now. But yeah, it is heavily experience-based. But yeah, I want to encourage anyone to help out parents. Anyone who thinks that they have a skill to help parents, yeah, do it. Make sure you're confident. You know what you're talking about, and great. Teen crisis advocate. I would never use the word advocate for myself. I don't know what you mean. Teenagers are my favorite age, though. Because once you know how to connect with teenagers, they're a lot of fun. Okay, I'm going to read out my top 4 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1 is you listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway. Okay, number 2 is you negotiate as much as possible. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? Reciprocity. You give respect to get it. Number 3, don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. Or do you want to hear what I did yesterday? And laugh it off. Okay, it's okay to make mistakes. Allow them that. And number 4, this one I just added in the last few months. It was only 3 steps. Now it's 4. Is number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. Because I know a lot of clients were doing this. They said, oh, you taught us how to connect with our teenagers. We were out the other night at the movies, and then we were discussing how the last couple of years has been so difficult. And then I said, let me guess, they told you to F off and left the theater? How did you know? Yeah, you don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. Yeah, you don't do that. Now, these are all the ways you've disappointed us in the last 2 years. Oh. When do you discuss the bad times? Never. What's the point? What's the point? You know your payback if your teenagers put you through hell, and they might. If your teenagers put you through hell, you know when you get the payback, the revenge, is when they've got teenagers. I know it's a slow burn, but when they're struggling with their own teenagers, you can just sit back and watch the show. So it's a slow burn. You got to wait a while. But that is your revenge, is when they've got their own teenagers. But you can't do anything before them. You just have to say, oh, well, thanks for all your knowledge in doing these lives. Oh, you're very welcome. I love doing these lives. I really do. My favorite thing in my business is coaching. I don't need to do it anymore. I always say I might have to quit soon, but I love coaching. I just love it. It's my favorite thing in my business is coaching. This is my second favorite. It's kind of similar, but coaching, I talk more about connecting, and it's more personal. I get to know the people. This is more about talking about discipline, because that's what you're asking me on these lives. But when I'm coaching, I'm in total control of that. So we talk about connecting more than disciplining. You got to connect with your kids. I teach leadership. Leadership is about connecting. It's not about discipline. You deal with bad behavior, then you focus on the good kid. Okay. My son's first response is to lie. He's 15. Even when I call him out on it and show him it's not a big deal, he still feels the need to hide things. How can I build better communication? Okay. First response is to lie. I need to know. I always say, if you ask me a question about teens, I'll jump on it. But I always have a lot of questions, because teenagers, I don't have a course on that right now. It's all like coaching. So let's say you got a teenager who lies to you. I would put down the behavior board, call it an accountability chart. You're on there too. It's completely free. And you put down no lying. Just put it like it is. And your rule is no yelling or something like that, or no nagging or whatever. Put something down that's sort of equal, like you both mess up, right? And that's how this works. So put down no lying. And then when he lies, say, okay, that was a lie. No anger and no lecturing, no nagging about it. It's the lecturing that makes him so darn mad. He's going to lie just to avoid a lecture from you. That's what I'm guessing. So say, oh, you messed up there. So here's a consequence or whatever. But yeah, he's going to lie to avoid your lectures. I'm guessing. Am I right? Do you lecture? I'm guessing. I'm pretty sure I'm right, but I could be wrong. So Linda, am I right on that? He lies to you to avoid the lecture is my guess. Is that correct? Imposing a consequence is better than lecturing every single time. So I'm looking for your response here. Linda, do you lecture when he acts out, when he does something wrong? If so, stop doing it. Just have a consequence and no lecture. Okay, I'm still waiting. The problem is if I go on to another question, I'll forget because I bounce around so much. So I'm just going to give it another few seconds here. So I'm just waiting to hear from Linda whether or not she lectures her 15-year-old, and that's what's causing his lying. He's trying to avoid the lectures, not the punishment or not the consequence. The consequences aren't supposed to be like that horrible. It's just a consequence, right? But yeah, he would rather have that than a lecture any day. Nope, she's not answering. Okay. And I know if she does now, I know I'm going to move on. I'm going to forget. That's okay. That happens. Okay. Douglas on YouTube. Okay, I need to improve my opt-out tactics when the grandkids. Oh no, sorry, I don't teach grandparenting. I'm a grandparent. I don't teach it. I only teach parenting. Tortoise tails with sausage. I'm worried that's rude somehow, but anyway, sometimes someone wrote something once and I just read it out and it looked like one thing, but it was phonetically something else. And oh God, I got to be careful what I read out. What are some of your favorite examples of consequences for the behavior board? Any age will work, as my oldest is 11. Okay, don't worry about the consequences. Just do a chore within 15 minutes of being asked to do so, or 24-hour media blackout, or take something away. So the first consequence is a positive action. It just has to be a good deed, a positive action. It doesn't have to be like a dagger in the heart. It doesn't have to be something horrible, but it's just you do a good deed. You made a mistake, so empty the dishwasher, something like that. Okay, don't get caught up in what the consequence is. There is no magic consequence. Consistency is the magic, and your lack of anger, your lack of just taking control, and just here's the consequence. And if you don't do it, then there's no TV for 24 hours or whatever. No screens for 24 hours, something like that. So it's not what it is, it's your consistency and your calmness. Okay, all discipline, all consequences, behavior board stuff is like a business transaction. There's no emotions involved in disciplining at all. Leaders don't get angry. You just say, okay, so you messed up there. You made that mistake and you broke the rule. So here's the consequence. Okay, so then they do it and that's the end of it. You deal with bad behavior, but then you focus on the relationship, the connection. Your advice on how to get my 15-month-old to sleep without cuddles or me having to lay with her worked amazingly well. Yeah, bedtime battles is my most successful thing I teach. But yeah, happy to hear it. And that would just be was that just on a live, or did you buy the course, or just wanted to know? Okay, just want to say thank you for all your material. It's helped us a lot in the tantrum area. Can't wait till our daughter is 3 so we can do the behavior board. Yeah. By the way, I never used a behavior board. I promise okay. I never used a behavior board. It's a teaching tool. Like I remember when I first started my business 17 years ago, I was teaching what I did. Well, I'm level 10 with what I do. That would be like teaching someone how to fly a plane from your, like right in the, here you go, take the controls. It doesn't make any sense at all. So now I learned after a year, I invented the behavior board and I put the parents on it. That's what made all the difference, because I was having a hard time explaining why I was always in trouble. And it was just because I was accountable. I'm a bit of a loose cannon. I'm kind of crazy. So I was always in trouble with my kids. I'd always promise, oh, okay, I promise I'll do that later. And I'd forget. And they loved that because then they'd get something out of me, right? So I was always in trouble. So that's why I just never used a behavior board. But then I learned when I put the parents on there, they understood this accountability and the importance of it. So it changed everything. You can be good at something, but teaching it's another thing. I learned how to teach this. So I teach it one step at a time. If you want to fly a plane, you're grounded and you're just learning the dials, right? You're not getting in the cockpit and flying it right away. It's like that. So yeah, we start slow. Oops, I got to take a drink. My mouth's getting really dry. Oh, good. You've watched me for a while, obviously. This is Christina H. on YouTube. Daughter is 9. What normal challenges can we expect as 9-year-old gets older in terms of shifting from her pleasing us to becoming a teen and not wanting to disappoint us? Okay. And I always talk about this. You're parenting. There's 4 different stages in parenting: baby, toddler, child, and teen. And you're transitioning in the tween years, 9 to 12 years old. That's when they're starting to exercise their own leadership. And you have to start letting go of it. You have to stop micromanaging stuff and start letting them have more of a say. But yeah, and I'm going to read out the top 4 tips for parenting teenagers. I just read that out, but I'm going to read out the first one. The first one is listen to understand and show empathy. Don't listen to gather information to lecture with. That's a very quick little thing that I'd say all the time. But the importance of that is that, hey, if my kids were upset with me, I'd say, what? Tell me. And they'd tell me, and I would often say, and my kids would never have come at me unless they were right. They just wouldn't have, because they respected me. So if I was being a pain or, like really impatient with something, usually around Christmas time shopping and that. So I was dragging them around, and they'd say, Mom, I'm not, they were upset with me. And I'd say, fine, go, what? And they'd say this and that. And they go, you're right. What do you want? So you got to really listen to them, because when they respect you, they will tell you. No one is better at mirroring who you are than your own children. Okay. And when they respect you, they'll do it really well. So when my kids complained about me, believe me, they had a case. And so I would just say, yep, go. What did I do? And they'd say, yeah, remember you were really pushing us around, trying to get us here and there. You were really impatient. And yeah, you're right. What do you want? So then I'd do something nice for them. I'd take them out for ice cream or something. So yeah, that's when you transition. You really want to start listening to them. If they're complaining about you, you go, tell me what did I do? Come on, tell me. And then if they're right, and be really honest about it and say, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I was an idiot. Yeah. Okay. You see, you start to really listen to them. It's very rare. And when you get better at this, they're more respectful. They're not going to tell you something that's ridiculous usually. When you get really good at this and you say, okay, what did I do? What are you mad about? What did I do? And they're going to come at you in a really respectful way when you get good at this. So that's how you transition. You want to start giving them much more of a say. Yeah. That's my favorite age. I love teenagers. Just keep watching. My 14-month-old went from being very, very tantrums all the time to barely any now in a month. Lisa's amazing. Oh, that's so sweet. I didn't know you were going to say that at the end. Lisa's amazing. Let me read that one out. I just say it like it is. I'm old. I've had a lot of experience with kids. I'm very confident with all this stuff, very sure of myself. But if there's something I don't know, I say it. I'm very quick to do that. In coaching especially, some stuff comes up that I've just never even heard of before. It's rare, but every so often something will come up. But yeah, I love kids. I love figuring them out. I watch them like a hawk. I can remember what I was thinking at just about every single age. I can literally go back in time because I've been doing this for so many years, and I can literally remember what it felt like to be 2. I can remember what it felt like to be, not so much 1, but I remember what it felt like to be 3 and 4 and 5. I can remember all that. And yeah, because I was always trying to figure kids out. I find them fascinating. So you usually get pretty good at something that you find that fascinating and you study for 52 years. You get pretty darn good at it. But it's a whole bunch of stuff that I suck at that we don't need to talk about here. So yeah, that's just the one thing. There's 3 things I'm very confident with. One is fitness. I'm very into fitness. Not that I'm good at it, but I'm very dedicated to fitness, parenting, and sewing. Those are 3 things I've taught and I'm very confident with. And that's about it. Oh, cleaning. I could teach cleaning and organizing. But yeah, we've all got something special. We all have something that we're good at. Think about it. What could you share with the world? I actually had a client a while ago, and she started a new career because we got talking about this. She was, I don't want to go into it too much, but she had a really special talent that she says, and I said, well, what are you good at? How are you going to connect with your kids? She was having a hard time connecting with her kids. And she said, well, and I said, what do you love? What are you good at? She goes, well, I'm really not good at anything. I've always been shy. And I said, come on. What do you love? What do you really, what just makes you feel good? And she told me. And then I said, well, give me an example of that. And she did. And I said, you have to teach it. She's teaching it now. I said, you have to teach that. That is amazing. Everyone's got something to share. Parenting's just my thing. Yeah. Everyone's got something to share. Everyone's got a story. The swing story. I've got 2 swing stories, but I know which one you're talking about. Do you want me to tell it? I haven't told that in ages. I'll wait to see if you want me to tell it. That's Tabitha. I haven't told that in a long time. My 3-year-old daughter is now more vocal about saying that she doesn't want to do something when I ask her to tell her to do something. She is starting to show a little attitude with it, but she ultimately does what I say. Will she grow out of this phase? I don't know. It depends what kind of parent you are. Are you a leader? Or do you get upset when she doesn't do it? Do you repeat yourself? Don't get upset. Don't repeat yourself. Anyway, check out my behavior board. It's a good way to sort of get sorted out. Or check out the boot camp course, 3 to 12 years old, if you're interested. Okay. Okay, new follower here. Oh, welcome, Amy. It's my daughter's name. My daughter's my business partner. By the way, our podcast is coming out next Tuesday, the 24th. She's going to release 3 of them right away. And we've got 8 of them in the can, and we've just had a blast doing it. She hates being on the camera. So if you see it, I don't know where she's posting it, but there's video attached to it too. So yeah, she hates being on camera. And it's hilarious because we'll record like 3 podcasts in a row, and then she'll go, okay, that's it. I can't do anymore. And I'll go, oh, I could do 30 more. She does all the back end stuff. She does all my marketing, all my planning, all my social media. If you see videos, she's clipped all that together. That's all her. She runs some things by me, but she knows me so well, and but she runs it. But it's all basically, she does all that. Yeah, so take a look. I actually don't know I'm not good at podcasts. I never know which one I'm listening to. Like I literally will be listening to a podcast at the gym. I don't know who's talking. I don't know. I never know. And then I'll look on there and there's like 3 different things showing. I never know who I'm listening to, what their name is. And then I'll think, oh, I really like that. Then I can't find what I just listened to. I got to figure out how to listen to them. So anyway, my daughter said, oh no, people love podcasts, Mom. And I'm like, okay, so hopefully it'll go really well. So she organized this whole podcast thing. So, but yeah, we've had a blast doing them. Okay. Someone said, this is Faith on YouTube. I finished your boot camp. Could you quickly walk through how to implement a getting ready in the morning routine for 5.5-year-old? Should there be a time limit consequence? Usually, and there's lots of different ways to go about a lot of different stuff, but my favorite method for school morning routine is an incentive-based program or incentive-based structure. So you say to the kids, I'll tell you what, and you write it all out and you say, if you follow the school morning routine, then you can have 10 or 15 minutes of screen time, right? But it has to be limited. I'll tell you a cute story after this. Anyway, so it's an incentive-based one. As soon as you're ready, your bag is by the front door, you're all set, you've had breakfast, brushed your teeth, then you can have 10 minutes of screen time or whatever. That's the incentive-based one. Otherwise, you put down on the behavior board, follow school morning routine, and when they get home after school, there's a consequence if they didn't. I don't like that one as much. I always used incentive-based stuff with my kids, like the as soon as method. Sure, as soon as you're ready, then you can watch TV. Anyway, my son was in grade 1, and I said to him, because there was no TV in the morning or anything usually, so I would say to him, or video games or anything. So I said, I'll tell you what, sweetie, as soon as if you're all ready for school in the morning, and he was brand new in grade 1. And I said, as soon as you're all ready, got your uniform on, your bag by the front door, then you can play video games. This is my son. He was really, really good kid, but he knew how to work a system. He didn't know that this was not a good thing to do. I wake up, and I was always up early. I was always the first one up. I wake up and I can hear the video game. He's on the TV, and I get up and it's like 5 a.m. And I get up and he's all dressed. His bag's by the door. He just figured if he got up at when it was still dark, he could get up and he'd get 4 hours of video games. So then I had to tell him, no, you'll only get 10 or 15 minutes. So, but yeah, he didn't know that was bad, but imagine my shock. I wake up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. and I hear the TV going. So, and he was only 5 years old, but he didn't break a rule, did he? Isn't that cute? He was always good at figuring how to make things work for him. And, but yeah, and I didn't want to criticize him because he would have been embarrassed. So I just said, oh, sweetie, from now on, it'll be like 10 minutes. But I was laughing. So he knew that he did something wrong. That was great. I love parenting. I miss it. I don't teach grandparenting, by the way. Whenever someone's a grandparent, I don't give any advice to anyone other than parents. Because if I give you advice and the parents don't like it, see what I mean? I only teach parenting. I'm a grandmother, so yeah, and I don't teach any of that. Someone asked me, quite a few people asked me actually, do you ever give advice to your daughter-in-law who's a parent? My granddaughter. And I said, why would I insult her? And someone asked me, they said, well, that's not an insult. You're trying to help. And I said, no, unsolicited advice is criticism. Unless it's something like, oh, have you tried that food or that? You know what I mean? But yeah, unsolicited advice is a criticism. In other words, you're doing it wrong. Do you want to learn how to do it right? I would never do that. Never. She's fabulous anyway. So she's doing a great job. But you know what I mean? Even if she wasn't, I might say, oh, do you want any support? Is there anything you want to ask me? Or I might say that, but even then it's none of my business how they parent. I'm just the grandmother. Yeah, it's fun. But yeah, I don't know why. Because a lot of my clients have problems with in-laws and even their parents telling them what to do, criticizing their parenting. And what I recommend that they say to them is just this. You say, you know, when you undermine or criticize my parenting, it hurts my feelings. Now, if they keep going, they are actually admitting to hurting your feelings, and they don't have a problem with that. And they'll usually say, I'm just trying to help, and say, well, it's just hurting my feelings. It's not helping me. So yeah, if they still continue to give you advice, I can't help you. Because if they're willing to hurt your feelings, I can't help you. That's that passive aggressive stuff. I'm just trying to help. No, it's passive aggressive. No, you're not. You're criticizing. Okay. Oh God, I got a funny story with this one. Quick question. Oh, what time is it? Oh, I gotta go. I'm late. I gotta go over to Instagram. Oh, I got lost in time. Anyway, I'm late for Instagram. Anyway, I gotta run, and then I'm gonna answer this question because it's funny because it's on YouTube, so I'll answer it. Anyway, check out the link above. You can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them, or you can look into coaching. I'm heading over to Instagram now. Happy parenting. Shoot, how many times am I late? I'm always late for Instagram. Or I wasn't yesterday or the day before, but nope, I'm on the wrong one. Okay, this is from Janine. I really like this question. Okay, I'm going to answer it as soon as I make sure I'm set up on Instagram. And they come in fast, Instagram people. So it's the fastest entry. Everyone comes in all at once. It's like they all live together and they all bang it on the same right away. Yeah, it's fast. Anyway, sorry I'm late. I was on Facebook and I got yabbering. So yeah, sorry I'm late. I just ran late on Facebook and I'm on YouTube the whole time. So anyway, welcome to the live. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you check out the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them. You can look into coaching. So yeah, sorry I'm late. I was yabbering on YouTube or Facebook, and I just forgot where I was. I was on Facebook with you. Yeah. Why didn't you tell me I was late? You know I'm dopey. Lisa, you're supposed to be on Instagram now. Oh God, I'm stupid sometimes. I have no filter or anything. I just get caught up in what I'm doing. Okay, where am I? I wanted to answer this question on YouTube because it's a good one. My 5-year-old son is extremely talkative. He shares too much information about our family and is constantly talking. I don't want to discourage his outspokenness, but at the same time, he needs to tone it back a notch. I would say there's certain things that are just private. It doesn't mean there's anything to be ashamed of, but it's just private, okay? It's like going to the bathroom, picking your nose. It's just certain things are just private. There's nothing wrong with them, okay? Anyway, I'm going to tell you a funny story. My daughter was, I don't know, 3 or 4, and there was someone that I didn't like I didn't want to hang out with. And this mother was trying to be friends with me, and I didn't want to be friends with her. She just wasn't my type of person. So anyway, my daughter's right there, and she was the sweetest little thing. She just was a little doll, this sweet little girl, and she was just easy as anything. And so I'm talking, and I'm saying, and this mom from school had said to me, hey, what are you doing tomorrow, like on Saturday? And I said, actually, we're going to, and I lied. And my daughter's right there. And I said, and my daughter said, no, Mom, remember you said that we've got nothing to do all weekend, that you hope something comes up? Oh, God. And then I looked at her like this, and she instantly realized what had happened. She just fed me to the wolves there. So I had to hang out with that mom. How embarrassing, how humiliating. And I said, oh, I forgot, because I thought we were doing that. But anyway, so I told her later on, boy, did I ream her out after that. But she was so embarrassed because I said, sweetie, I was lying. It's okay to lie sometimes rather than hurt the person's feelings, right? So anyway, she never did that again. But yeah, there's just certain things that are private, and if you're saying something, just let me talk. Oh God, that was funny. My 7-year-old boy keeps making bad choices like cursing, spitting, and calling people names at school. I redirect him and teaching them a new way, but still, where's the consequence? They don't learn from redirecting and discussing. They learn through consequences. So what's the consequence to doing that? Check out the behavior board. We all learn through consequences. It's not just discussing and redirecting. You don't just say, it's like speeding. If a cop pulls you over for speeding, he doesn't say, here's how you drive slower. He gives you a ticket. That's what stops you from speeding. Well, a little bit, for a while anyway, but you get the idea. It's the consequence that teaches us the lessons. You redirect babies, not 7-year-olds. Yeah. Yeah, you kill someone. Here's how to not kill someone. Okay, go free. Where's the consequence? Oh, consequences for a 2.5-year-old that doesn't involve screen time. We don't do consequences with 2.5-year-olds. Under the age of 3, we do consistent corrective actions. We don't do consequences. And I'll read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, childproof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, connect with the toddler in their world, not yours. You don't go to the nail salon with a 2-year-old. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. And number 4 is when you want to discipline a toddler, you do so in their world. They're not about words. They're about actions. And they're about consistent corrective actions right in the moment. So if they do something naughty, you remove the fun from them or remove them from the fun. Don't do timeout. When I say remove them, you take them with you in the kitchen, let the other kids play in the other room or whatever. And number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years. In the first year, you were a potato laying on a mattress. Like they're just forming. Okay, so there you go. My 6-year-old son has no regard for consequences. Oh, yes, he does. You just haven't found the right one. If you want to hire me, I could find something. Yeah, we often have to invent leverage. But yeah, there's always something. I hear this all the time with teenagers. Yeah, there's nothing we can do. They don't care. Oh, yes, there's always something you can do. Always. Teenagers is different though. But yeah, 6-year-old, there's always something. He would care. Check out the boot camp course. That might be a good fit for you. That's 3 to 12-year-old boot camp course. It's 5 weeks how to get respect. And it goes into this, how you get leverage. Sorry, I just got an email. Sometimes I'm worried about clients, if they're going through a lot, some crisis stuff and all that. So I have to keep an eye on stuff. Sometimes people say, what's crisis? And I'd say, well, I specialize in teenagers. You think about it. What would crisis be with teenagers? Big stuff. He doesn't get respect either. You haven't earned it. You got to work for it. You got to earn respect. You don't demand it. You command it. Earn it. And that's what the boot camp course teaches you, how to earn their respect. You got to give it to get it. So don't blame him, blame yourself. Always take responsibility. Between the ages of 3 and 12 years old, their behavior is 100% a direct result of your parenting or lack of leadership. Okay? Between the ages of 3 and 12, you're at the height of your leadership. So if he doesn't respect you, you got to work on yourself. We're never fixing kids. We're fixing and teaching parents here. I used this analogy today. I actually had a good analogy, and I never get good analogies. Sugar. Anyway, I got another one. This one isn't as good. Shoot, I always do the worst analogies, the worst examples. But anyway, this example is pretty good. Let's say you've got 30 kids. Okay, 30 kids, and they go from one class to another to another. They got 3 different teachers, 3 different classes. In one class, the teacher's the authority. In the other class, the teacher's the pleaser, which is the old-fashioned way of parenting and the newfangled way of parenting, all the pleasing stuff, discussing big feelings and big emotions when they're mad and all that garbage. Anyway, it's a disaster. And then the third one is a leader. The teacher is a leader. In the first class, the authority, the kids are pretty good with that teacher, but only when the teacher's looking, because it's a fear-based method. So when the teacher leaves the room, the kids are out of control. When the teacher looks down, the kids are out of control or might do something behind the teacher's back. Okay, that's the authority. Now, those same 30 kids move into the pleaser. Pleaser is a total disaster. The teacher's a dish rag. The kids are wiping their feet all over them. It's just a total disaster. Nothing. Their kids don't respect them ever. They're not good at it at all. Then though, those same 30 kids move into the other class where the leader is there. Not only are they respectful and want to please that leader, when the leader leaves, they're still good. When the leader's looking down, they're still good. What's the difference? Fear-based, useless pleaser parent stuff. The leader makes kids feel good about themselves. They're proud of themselves, right? That's what a leader does. There's no fear in it. It's they want to please you because you make them feel good about themselves. That's the power in this. That's why I talk about leadership is about connecting more than disciplining. It's so, so important to connect with them. There was this teacher, you've probably seen it. Every time I mention this to a client, they go, oh, I've seen that. I've seen that. It's that teacher down in a really underprivileged area with kids who had rough lives. There was like 40 kids in this class. He had a different handshake for each kid, and they were elaborate handshakes, elaborate for each kid. And I remember when I saw that, I thought, oh, he gets it. That's connecting, making each kid feel special. That's connecting. Okay, he just got it. If he's not a dad now, when he is one, he'll be fabulous. He just gets it. Now, how would those kids treat that teacher? Beautifully, right? They're going to want to please that teacher. So anyway, that's a good analogy, isn't it? The classrooms. I like that one. Oh, I'm going to write that down. The other one I did write down, and then I shredded that paper. Jeez, I cleaned too much. Classrooms. Yeah, I'm going to use that. I'm going to do a video on that. Oh, maybe that my daughter can turn that into a video. Classrooms. Okay. Okay, does that make sense? When you worked with teen client and they didn't follow directions, what was your protocol? Did you discuss the bad behavior? Never. Have a very defiant teenager as a teacher, 14 years old. Huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, and child psychologists. I couldn't do your job, by the way. God, couldn't imagine being a teacher. I just have so much respect for teachers. Anyway, but parenting's different. So anyway, yeah, I can't give you a quick answer to that because we work on your connection first before you even start to deal with their behavior. You work on the connection. You have no weight to deal with it, okay? You need some weight. You need some clout first, and you get clout by giving respect to get it. And the first week or two when I'm coaching people with teenagers, we don't deal with their bad behavior. Not in the first week or two. We deal with your connection. I got to figure it out. I got to figure out where to go. What kind of parent you've been. I need to know a bit more history because you got a lot of history behind you. If you got a 14-year-old, that's 14 years of history. I need to know where you were. Do you need to make amends? Sometimes we have to make amends. Yeah. And then the parent will often say, I don't want to do that. He's a little SHI, you know what? And I'll say, well, you gotta take the high road. It works. It just works. Anyway, so yeah. Okay. By the way, I just want to point out I hit 500,000 followers on Tuesday here. So I'm just on Instagram, and that's a big number. It's overwhelming. And I just want to say thank you so much. I'm in my 60s. I never in a million years thought anyone would ever watch me on YouTube or anywhere else. Well, YouTube's my smallest platform, but I've got 1.5 million followers across my platforms now. Talk about shock. No one's more surprised than I am. I've been doing this for 17 years, and I just blew up 2.5 years ago. I just went on TikTok and blew up overnight. It was unbelievable. I think people are ready to hear this now. I've been teaching this for a long time, and I had a lot of pushback. Oh, no, you've got to discuss all their big feelings and big emotions when they're all upset, which is garbage. And people weren't ready. What happened is it wasn't working. And now people are realizing. They're going, oh, I get it. Oh, I get it. They need a leader. You know, if you're a pleaser parent, there's the old-fashioned authority. Not a horrible way to parent. It's not bad at all. It's fear-based, though, and they will rebel in the teen years often. The pleaser parent is the new one. It's been up for 30 or 40 years. I saw it coming with the participation awards, the stupidest thing I ever heard of. I couldn't believe it when I heard it. I thought it was just a joke. Oh, you just turn up and you get an award. Oh, yeah, right. Anyway, back then and then everything else started coming along with it. Try and make chores fun. Try and move classrooms if they don't like that teacher. You know, all this stuff where you're trying to roll out the red carpet so they never have to deal with anything difficult, and you can't figure out why they treat you like crap. It's because you're a pleaser parent. It's ridiculous. There's no leadership at all. They feel lost. Anyway, that's a total disaster. I saw that coming, and I said 30 years ago, I said, you're raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. And look where we are. Entitlement, entitlement, entitlement. Everywhere I go, I see it. Entitled. And that's that pleaser parent style. That's what you did. That's what you did. You raised entitled adults if you did that. And yeah, total disaster. Anyway, people were following that in a big way. And then I came along and all of a sudden I was again, oh my God, I got hated. I love that stuff because I think, boy, if people are, and I had a column in the newspaper, I was on TV a lot, and people were really fighting with me back then. And now they're starting to come on. They're starting to come on board because it wasn't working. And what I teach is you give respect to get it. It's kindness. You want to give your children something to be proud of. Disrespecting you makes them feel like garbage about themselves. Their self-esteem's in the toilet. When you teach them how to respect you, they'll respect themselves. If they're treating you with disrespect, they hate themselves. Their self-esteem is in the toilet. What have they got to be proud of? Nothing. They just turn up and they get a participation award. What have they got to be proud of? Teach them how to earn stuff. Teach them that they got to do what they need to do before they can do what they want to do. Like my kids would never have asked me for anything until they'd made their bed or whatever. You know, if they'd said, can we go in the pool or can we play a video game? I'd say, sure. As soon as you finished your chores, they'd race around doing them. They understood you got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to. They were proud of themselves. That's pride. Give your children something to be proud of. And treating you with respect is number one. But you got to earn it. You got to work for that. And you don't discuss it, you earn it. I feel like I'm on a pulpit here giving a lecture. But anyway, sorry about that. Oftentimes when I'm coaching, I'll say, I'm sorry I was so rough on you, because I get really, I always think I'm being mean. And the parents always say, oh, I needed to hear that. Thank you. And I'm always shocked that they don't take offense to what I say. Because again, I say it with love. I want you to enjoy parenting. I'm not here to insult you. I'm here to shake you up so that you will enjoy parenting. I want you to enjoy parenting like I did. It was the most fun I ever had in my whole life. That was the most joyful time of my life. Laughing every single day. I loved it. I loved parenting. I want you to feel the same way. Okay. Okay, I'm done with that for now. For a few minutes anyway. Okay. What are your thoughts on the word sorry? That's okay. I don't really care about it. Everyone wants to hear it though, but there's just one word. You can do anything you want. You can be a serial killer. Sorry. Okay, fine. You know, the word sorry is so overused. Where's the amends? Where's the lesson? Where's the, you know, you see this all the time. Say you're sorry. A kid hits someone. Say you're sorry. Sorry. And then they just go back and do it again. Say you're sorry. So where's the lesson? There is no lesson. So it's consequences that teach them lessons. Now, it's okay to get them to say sorry, but they learn empathy through the lessons. Through the consequences. Anyway, I'll tell you the 4 steps to a good apology. And this is something that I taught my kids. They were really good at, and I was really good at. And my son was a teenager, and I was talking to a friend in our living room, and I was bragging, oh, I'm really good at apologizing. And my son yelled out from the kitchen, that's because you've had so much practice. That was pretty funny. Anyway, he was very funny. Anyway, so here's the 4 steps to a good apology. You do this with your kids, and you can teach your kids eventually to do this too. Okay, this is what accountability is all about. Adults don't seem to know this. A lot of them don't. But there's 4 steps to a good apology. Number 1, say you're sorry. It's just one word. It just starts the ball rolling. I don't even care about it. Sorry. Number 2. So that's 1 step. Say you're sorry. Number 2 is say it was all my fault. I shouldn't have done that. Take full responsibility and accountability for what you did. Don't say, I'm sorry I yelled, but if you hadn't done that, I wouldn't have yelled. You see, a lot of people get passive aggressive and turn it around. So that's not, anyway. So take full responsibility for what you did wrong. Step number 3, make amends. What can I do to make it up to you? How can I fix this? What can I do to make it up to you? If they don't come up with anything, suggest something. Like, for example, if I was ever late, which I never am, but if I was ever late, if I turned up, I'd say, oh, the dessert's on me because I was late. You know, sorry about that. I messed up. The dessert's on me tonight. And friends would usually say, no, that's okay. I'd say, yeah, it's on me. And then the last one is don't keep doing it. If you're late all the time, that apology meant squat. So yeah, say you're sorry. Take responsibility. It was all my fault. Make amends. What can I do to make it up to you? And number 4, don't keep doing it. That's a good apology. There's a lesson in that. It's the amends. That's the lesson. So you do something wrong, then you make it up to the person. A lot of adults can learn this. Also, sometimes people, do I want to get into all this psychology stuff? No, not right now. It's my favorite thing. I love it when I get psychologists, child psychologists, or any psychologist or psychiatrist as a client. They want to know the psychology behind all this stuff. That's my favorite part. But I always say, I don't want to waste your time on that right now. But at the end, when we're finished, at the end of the session, if you still want to talk about it, then we will. They often don't, because it kind of becomes clear as we go on. This one, no one ever likes my answer because I don't have an answer for this. This is from Farishta. It's hard to keep your cool when siblings are fighting. Any tips? I can't help you control yourself. That's your job. It's like if you go to Weight Watchers, how do I not eat that chocolate cake? That's your job. That's your challenge, because you know the outcome is worth it. You've got a goal. You've got your eye on the prize at the end is kids that you're connected with and you're your leader and they respect you. You got to keep your eye on that prize. That's it. I can't help you not eat the chocolate cake. I can't help you get up and go to the gym in the morning. I can't help you not get upset when your kids fight. That is the challenge in all this, but you know it's worth it. Fitness is worth it. When you're really fit, it feels great. When you're really slim and you like the way you look, that's worth all the dieting. And when you do all this leadership stuff and force yourself to not show any anger, you can be angry, but you don't show it as much as possible, then that's worth it because you'll get respect. Can babies under 16-month-old throw tantrums? Newborns can throw tantrums. Yes, absolutely. Oh, shoot, I got to go. I was almost late for TikTok. Anyway, I'm leaving here and I'm going to go over to TikTok. I'm on YouTube the whole time throughout the whole live. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. You can get my free behavior board if you go on the link above. Free behavior board mini toddler courses. My 2 boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers and one for 3 to 12-year-olds. They're very different the way they're set up. Toddler stuff is more, if they do this, this is what you do. Whereas the other one is do this in week 1, do this in week 2. It's a very laid out 5-week plan to set yourself up as a leader. It's just different with toddlers. Anyway, so they're very different, but they're both boot camp. They're quite a lot in there. Anyway, check those out, or you can look into coaching. I do have a wait list right now, but it's pretty darn small. Like, it has been brutal over the summer. It took me I think 6 weeks to get back to people. But right now I'm caught up now. It's better because I finished with a whole bunch of clients because summer was busy. So I'm finished with those clients. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'm heading over to TikTok now. Happy parenting. So many buttons on TikTok. There didn't used to be that many. Is it a good thing if my mother-in-law wants to take course with me? She can sit and watch, but she can't contribute. I only teach parenting. So she can watch, but I won't be talking to her. I'm very strict about that. Like a lot of people, I get a lot of very wealthy people who turn up, who hire me, and they have nannies there. Like some of them, you think about it. If someone has, let's say a celebrity or someone, they have 2 kids, each of those kids has 3 nannies, 8-hour shifts, full-time that live with them. And they often have different nannies. So think about it. How many nannies do you think I won't go into it, but I had someone turn up with a ton of nannies and I said, they all have to go because I don't teach nannying. But yeah, imagine that. Like, wow. So yeah, I really don't encourage other people being in on the parenting stuff. But they can watch, but they can't contribute. I won't be talking to them. I'm very strict with that. Okay, so, I've only got 17 people. Am I on the right one? Only 19 people here. Yeah, I'm on the parenting one. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, it's just such a low number. That's really weird. Why is that so slow? No, it's 40. Okay, that's a bit better. Okay, anyway, welcome. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them now, one for toddlers, one for older kids, or you can look into coaching. Anyway, I'm here pretty much every day. I used to be here every day doing lives. I started on TikTok. This is where I I started my social media stuff 2.5 years ago, and I was doing lives on here every single day for about 2 years. And now I'm busier, so I don't. But now I've got 30 people here on YouTube, and YouTube's my smallest platform. But now YouTube's really picking up with this live, so I'm really happy about that. It's probably the best place to watch the live because it is my smallest platform, so I'm more likely to see your question on there. The other day I said that, and then I'm so used to talking to the phone, which is where all my social media is, and YouTube is on my computer. So I said, "Oh, YouTube's the best place," and I completely forgot to look at all the questions. So go to YouTube, I'll answer all your questions. I never looked at it once. It wasn't a good day. I'm dopey. Okay. Okay. Good question. No one's ever asked this before. Interesting. This is from Emily on YouTube. For school-related consequences, are they the same ones you give at home? Chores, or do you give different ones for bad school behavior? No, it's the same ones. Because when they get home, the teacher reports to you that they did something and say, okay, so you did something bad. So now, you can put down no bad behavior at school or respect the teacher or something, put something down. So put it on the board though, and then have the same consequence. Any advice for 2.5-year-old who puts up a fight with everything, getting dressed, the word no, etc.? Yeah, just make it happen. Follow up with when you say something's going to happen, but be careful what you say because you got to be willing to follow it up with an action. I'll tell you a stupid thing I did. Did a lot of dumb things. This is one of the dumbest things. Second dumbest thing I did as a parent. Anyway, I've told the other one many times too, but it's a longer story. Anyway, my son was, I think, 4 years old, 3 or 4. And we were living in Brisbane at the time, and we were going down the Gold Coast to Dream World, a friend and I, but we had 2 separate cars because you got a bunch of kids in car seats and that, right? So my son was in a mood. He just was in a mood. He was cranky. And here we're going all the way down to Dream World, which is a huge theme park. It's expensive. It's a big thing. We went down there a lot. It's an hour's drive. So we get down there, and he's just got a miserable look on his face. He was in a mood. So I said to him, with my friend right there, I said to my son, stupidly, I said, if you don't put a smile on your face, we're going home right now. And my friend went, oh, no, because she knew when I say something, I'm going to follow it up with action. And instantly, I couldn't get the words back in my mouth. My son, of course, instantly smiled. It was fake, but then it turned into a real one. The mood didn't last long. But anyway, so yeah, I knew that if he didn't put a smile on his face, we would have driven all the way back home. So be careful what you say. So if you say to your 2.5-year-old, okay, we're going now, make sure you're going to follow it up with action. You're going to cart them under your arm, carry their shoes out, strap them in the car seat, let them have a tantrum, follow it up with action. You got to be prepared for that, though. If they say no, why would you answer that? Okay, we're going now. No, there's no way I would respond to that. It wouldn't happen. I have to put down an age. I can't answer without an age. Not that one. Sometimes I can, but usually it's an age. This is interesting. I just went on a big rant about the word sorry, how to me it's not enough. You got to follow through with all these other things. Anyway, and then Douglas said, it's good to hear the word sorry, but I want to see sorry. You want to see remorse? I don't care about that. I care about amends. What are you going to do to make it up to me? What are you going to do to make it up to me? Remorse, I'm not going for the emotions around that. Don't get me started on that. I don't want to go on about it, but there's a reason for that. I want the action. You did something bad. You messed up. Make it up to me. What are you going to do to make it up to me? Remorse isn't enough. Oh, he felt really bad. Yeah, but what did he do to make it up? I don't want to make a kid feel bad. If you're shaming when you're disciplining, you're doing it wrong. Yeah, you messed up. What are you going to do to make it up to me now? No shame. That I want to see sorry, that's the shaming. So yeah, don't go down that road. Any advice for ODD, ADHD, 10-year-old constantly arguing rules even at school? Okay, ODD is not a thing. It's just a explanation of oppositional defiant disorder. Doctors have told me it's not a medical diagnosis. It's just a term made up to make moms feel better about themselves so that they don't have to discipline. They don't feel as guilty about their kid acting out, which is ridiculous because then you're saying, oh, you're not responsible. There's nothing you can do. So then the parent feels, okay, it's not my fault. You always take the blame, always take the fault for your kid's bad behavior, always, because why wouldn't you? You're a leader. If they're acting out, you want to take the blame. I used to work with kids. If I was with a kid, I wasn't the parent or anything, and if they acted out under my care, I would think, what am I missing? What am I doing wrong? Never blame the kid. What am I doing wrong? They all had ODD and ADHD, all the kids I worked with, all of them. They were all a handful. Why would anyone give me an easy kid? Here you go, Lisa, here's an easy one. They all the teachers and everything, they would all say, good luck with this one. Like they always handed me the difficult kids because that was my specialty, was handling bad behavior, right? So yeah, I always took responsibility, even with teenagers. If they were messing up or being rude, I won't go into it, but I'll tell you some of the stuff I saw. If they were doing something, I thought, what am I doing wrong here? What am I messing up here? Always take the blame, always take responsibility for children because they are children. Okay, so ODD is just often an excuse to not do anything. There's no reason to kids act out. It just isn't. They're just more feisty, that's all. So you just got to work harder. And ADHD, those are all the kids I learned this with. So everything I'm talking about was, I didn't learn much with my own kids. I got respect when they were tiny and sailed through the teen years. The odd hiccup, but nothing to write home about. I mean, it was pretty easy. You got a 3-year-old that has meltdowns, right? Tantrums. Check out my tantrum busting course or check out my boot camp course. It goes into that. So what if they do that? That's on them. That's not on you. But are you connected with them? Do you play with them? Do you follow through? Because oftentimes when parents aren't consistent, they'll go on the blind rampage, as you called it, because they know if they do it long enough, you'll give in. Do you ever give in? Are you inconsistent? Do you say one thing and then okay, fine, you can have it. So yeah, that can happen. Throwing food on the floor is one of the easiest ones to deal with. So you pick up the food, throw it away, and then you say, here you go, and you hand feed them. If they won't, and they're going, no, 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 then you say, okay, all done, clean them up and put them down. And then they're hungry, right? So wait 15, 20 minutes and then say, okay, let's try again. Give them a little bit of food. When they throw it away and hand feed. Just keep doing that. When they're hungry, they'll eat. It's you got to be willing to go through these storms. The bigger the storm, the bigger the lesson. Everyone says, well, I don't want to go through that. And I say, well, then I can't help you. You got to go through some pain with, and they talk about there should be no pain in dieting or exercise. I have never once got fitter or lost weight without some pain. Not once in my whole life. No pain, no gain. I really believe that. Same with parenting. No pain, no gain. You got to go through some tantrums, right? You got to go through some of this stuff. That's the gain. Behind every storm, behind every fit, scene, meltdown, and tantrum is a lesson. Allow them to do that. That's their lesson. Sometimes I'm hired by people and they'll say, okay, I don't want to go through what's going on here? What is that? Anyway, sometimes there's things going across the screen. I don't understand. I don't know if you saw that, but I did. Anyway, parents will say to me, okay, so how do I avoid all the tantrums in the scenes? I say, well, you give them whatever they want for the rest of their lives, and they'll have a tantrum every 10 minutes. So that's how you avoid it, is you give them everything they want. They'll probably still have tantrums. They'll get worse and worse and worse. But you can't avoid the storms if you want the rainbow. Everyone wants the rainbow without the storms. It's impossible. Well, I want to lose weight, but I don't want to ever be hungry. Well, I guess there's medication out there that can do that now, but I wouldn't want to do it that way. But anyway, you see what I'm saying? There's got to be some pain to this. Anything worthwhile is worth the effort, is worth the pain. A very strong-willed 6.5-year-old, that can be a really good quality. Strong-willed is not always the same thing as being naughty or disrespectful. So yeah, it's check out my boot camp course. Remember, we're never fixing kids. We're fixing and teaching parents. All the kids I worked with were strong-willed. They were all challenging kids. That's where I learned all this stuff with. It was all those kids I worked with. What do I do if my 2-year-old just laughs when I say no? You don't. What do you mean? What do? You do nothing. I don't know what you mean by that. Like, why would you react to that? Don't give them power. It appears we're all being victimized by a 2-year-old. No, you just don't understand 2-year-olds. That's all. They're just crazy. So Well, I always say that. They just haven't developed sanity yet. You just got to learn to go, whew, toddlers are nuts. Do you know what I did? I made my life really easy with my toddlers. And I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. The only time I didn't find them easy is when we went out, because I had to watch them like a hawk so they didn't fall off a wharf or, walk into traffic. So it was a safety issue. But overall, this is what I did. I made my life easy with my toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. I had nothing below the waist. All the plants, everything was put up high. I didn't have to supervise them in our own home. Parents used to say to me, well, I want to teach my kids not to touch things. My kids weren't used to being precocious and getting into things. So when we went out, they were least likely to get into stuff. I had friends who they'd say, oh, geez, they were brushing their teeth with the toilet brush again. Why on earth would you want that to happen? As if it's their fault. It's your fault. You let them in the bathroom and why would you do that? Anyway, fair enough. I never said anything. I'd just go, ooh, lovely. Anyway, so childproof your home so you never have to say no. Then I could just relax at home. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, when you want to connect with a toddler, you do so in their world. You don't go to the nail salon with them. You get down the floor and play with them. Watch them play and join in. You play in their world. Number 4 is when you want to discipline a toddler, you do that in their world. Again, same thing. They're not about words. They're about actions. You use consistent corrective actions right in the moment, right in the present. They're not about tomorrow. They're not about yesterday. They're about right this second. So you got to be consistent. So if they're doing something naughty, you take the toy away from them or remove them from the fun. You take them with you. Timeout is different. I hate timeout. They go alone with timeout. You take them with you in the kitchen or whatever, so they can't go play for a few minutes or something. And number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're just forming. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed in here, okay? Imagine if you were 2 years old and in the first year you were a potato laying on a mattress. Like, they're just forming. They're brand new. They might even do this and smear poop on the wall. Figure that one out. Okay. Anyway, about this, I want to go on a little bit about this, about the mini therapy sessions with toddlers. So they're all upset. They're crying. They threw something. And then you decide to discuss it with them. Disaster. Now, you shouldn't throw something, okay. And then you'll say another thing. It's all these mini therapy sessions. That's for you. That's not for them. I know it's trendy. I know it's out there, but it's a disaster. It just is useless. They're about actions right in the moment. They're not about the mini therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings and big emotions. That's for you. That's not for them. And they will parrot you. Yes, mommy. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, mommy. And then you can't figure out what they did it again. What are they, nuts? Because you just gave them a therapy session. You just did a therapy session with a 2-year-old. Of course they're going to do it again. Of course. Why wouldn't they? It doesn't make any sense that they wouldn't. Okay? These mini therapy sessions, I know they're trendy. Getting down on their level. Use your words. Use your words. All that patronizing garbage. I would like to meet the person who invented that. Get down on their level and say, use your words. How patron. Could you imagine someone saying that to you? Use your words. Be more like me. In other words, find your inner adult. They are using their words. Their words or whatever they're doing, that is their communication. You respect that. You deal with them on their level, not yours. They're not mini adults. They're children. Find your inner child when you're dealing with them. Try and understand where they're coming from. Yeah, this patronizing garbage drives me nuts because I have to fix all that in coaching. That's what I deal with, is all this stuff. Well, we were taught to discuss, oh, geez. I'm a little bit passionate about what I do. Love your explanation of ODD. Yeah, oppositional defiant disorder. Doctors have told me, literally, they made it up just to make moms feel better. But they also have given them a free pass to not do anything about it. Oh, well, I can't fix the kid. He's got ODD. So it completely absolves them of responsibility. That's what it does. It's a disaster. Okay. Yes, it is amends I want to see. You bet it is. What can I do? And there's no anger in this. There's no anger. Say, oh, I messed up. Oh, shoot. What do I shouldn't have done that. Okay, well, how about I do this for you? Do you want to go to the arcade tonight? We'll go and do some DDR together. We'll go play some, air hockey or something together. Stuff like that. How does that make a person feel? How does that make the other person feel? Oh, I missed it. Here we go. Shoot, I want to find this one again because I liked it. It was a good one. Just a sec. I got to find it. Okay. When, I don't know the age, but it's a good, I'm just going to generalize. When he is at school, he is well behaved. He comes home and he acts crazy. That says to me that the teacher is a leader and you're not. That's what that says to me. Work on your leadership skills. Okay. If they're good at school, it means they know how to be good. So it means that they just aren't good with you because you're probably the pleaser or the authority. I teach leadership. So yeah, the teacher, obviously, the teacher might be an authority or a leader. It doesn't matter. Teaching is different. They might be a leader or an authority, but you're not. And you don't want to be an authority. You want to be a leader. Teachers, that's different. It's just different. A huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists. I couldn't do their jobs, very specialized training and all that. I couldn't do their jobs. My parenting is heavily experience-based. Kids taught me all this. Teenagers taught me all this. Teenagers are the ones who told me, you got to teach this, Lisa. So yeah, and I didn't listen for years and years. I should have. Anyway, but yeah. You know, I've never been hired by a youth worker. A youth worker works with troubled teenagers. That's the PhD in all this. I actually specialize in teenagers. If you can get respect with teenagers, you don't need my help. You get it. You don't need my help. Yeah. So, but I've never been hired by a youth worker. Interesting. Lots of teachers, lots of principals, lots of child psychologists, but not a youth worker. Not that I know. And I would know by their vernacular if they work with teenagers. But yeah, interesting, eh? And you don't go into that job unless you love teenagers. Thoughts on TV for a 1-year-old while I work? Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Like my daughter-in-law, she has an 8-month-old, my granddaughter. And, you know, if she has to go have a shower or something, she'll turn on the TV. I mean, you got to do what you got to do sometimes. You have to do things. She doesn't have like a nanny there, you know, that can take the kid. And most people don't. Lots of people do, but lots of people don't. So, yeah, if you got to do something, yeah, then turn on the TV. I don't have a problem with that at all. I'm a youth pastor and I'm saving up to afford your course. Maybe I will be your first. A youth pastor. I don't quite know what that is. A pastor is a religious head, and a youth pastor. I'll look that up. I like to learn things. Youth pastor. Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing when I started mentoring troubled teens, and I had to figure it out. I did get a little bit of training, but I never used it. I knew I'd have my own style. So I had to figure it out. And once I did, it was still hard because they did get under my skin, but I never showed it. When they were testing me, the first 2 or 3 weeks, they would test me. And then after that, it was easy. But yeah, it was a lesson, I'll tell you. I learned more about myself and life working with those troubled teens than anything else I've ever done, I think. Yeah, because they were so damaged. And yeah, I didn't know I had that much patience. I don't have that with adults. I wouldn't put up with anything with adults because I expect more from them. But kids, now that's my job to guide them and lead them. So anyway, yeah, I loved it. I just loved it. Plus, whenever I'm teaching, I'm always teaching backwards. Like I would never take parenting advice from someone who doesn't know teenagers, because whenever I know teenagers and I know how to get there, I know how to set everything up to sail through the teen years. And if you don't know anything about teenagers, how can you teach parenting? How do you know where you're going? A lot of what works with younger children backfires big time in the teen years, right? So yeah, I know how to get you in there. So I'm always working backwards. Teenage. I'm always thinking teenager. Even when I've got clients who have toddlers, I'm always thinking teens, always working backwards. Work through a church organization, but yes, we work with troubled teens. Yeah. If you haven't been doing it for a long time, yeah, I can see how. And plus, you want to take in as much information as possible, right? So, and the thing with teenagers is I do specialize in teen crisis work. The thing with that is I can't have 5 sessions in a day with that, because I have to really think. I have to be very careful what I'm saying. One word, I'm always worried I'll say the wrong word. I'll tell the parents to say something wrong. So I have to be very, very careful. Teenagers are so unpredictable. The problem with teenagers is they don't have foresight. They don't think ahead. So they could have a really bad day. And they scare the bejeebies out of me, what they're capable of. But that's why it's serious stuff working with teenagers. Why do you work backwards? Because I know where I want you to go, and I organize everything to teach you how to get there. We're building blocks here for the teen years. All we're doing is setting you up for those teen years. So the teen years are notoriously the hardest, and I want to set you up so that you can get in there as easily as possible. Because a lot of what's popular and trendy right now, it might work when they're really little, maybe not. But by the time they're 7, 8, that's when it really starts to backfire, is all the trendy stuff that's been taught for so many years now. 7 or 8 really starts to backfire. And then the teen years, a disaster. So yeah, I'm always guiding you into the teen years. I'm always thinking that, always. Yeah, took privileges away from my team for bad grades, been weak. I was going to say, how's that going? Because it doesn't work. Been weeks and still failing. I don't know what else to do. You'd have to hire me for that. I'd have to assess it and how to move forward. And yeah, you'd have to hire. That would be coaching. Because I don't know your relationship. I don't know what the history is, what's going on in the teen's life. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl or how age or how old. If they have friends, a girlfriend, boyfriend, are they sexually active, blah, 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 blah. Are they a partier? Yeah, I have to assess the situation before I can help you move forward. And it's a slow process with teenagers. The first one or two sessions, you're not going to think you're going to get any money worth out of me, because I'm just assessing and trying to figure out how to move forward. We won't deal with their grades in the first session or two at all. We deal with your connection. So if you want coaching, check it out. I do have a wait list, but check it out. Which trendy parenting tips tend to backfire? There's a lot of them. The reward system, reward charts, backfire. Discussing all their big feelings and big emotions when they're being disrespectful, backfires. Those are the ones that parents might not think of. Yeah, it is a very good question, isn't it? Yeah. The sayings like, use your words, backfires. It's very patronizing. Saying things like, okay, now so tomorrow you can make better decisions tomorrow. Okay. All that patronizing tone and patronizing words. You can make better decisions tomorrow. In other words, you're a piece of crap today, but tomorrow you'll be better. That's an insult. It's passive aggressive. Okay, well, you really hurt my feelings. That really hurt me. So you should think about that. That's shaming. Don't shame your children. It's a weak and nasty move to shame your children. Yeah, you really hurt me. In other words, you're a piece of garbage. That's how they take it. Do you know how much that hurt me when you did that? You know how much that hurt me? That's shaming. You won't get anywhere. You'll just make them feel like garbage about themselves, and they'll get worse and worse, and you can't figure it out. Why don't they have any empathy? Yeah. I would love to discuss all the psychology sometime. Like, the thing is, it's not helping you. Like, what I mean is, I talk about actions, but all the psychology behind it's kind of what to do and say. Then everything I teach is what to do and say. My course, my boot camp course, my free behavior board, all these videos. You say that was bad. Here's your consequence. Now, do you want to go to the park? You deal with bad behavior, then you focus on the good kid. Everyone's putting all their focus on this bad behavior, discussing all their bad behavior. Why would you do that to them? It's so mean. Don't do that. Don't discuss all their bad behavior. Deal with it. Yeah, that was bad. Say it like it is. That was bad. Here's your consequence. Now, do you want to go read a book? It's the pool story. You look at the pool story. It's the very first video here on TikTok, and it's called Example of Leadership Parenting. It's the pool story. And that explains what I'm talking about here. I don't let anything go. I deal with bad behavior, but then I focus on the good kid. Where you put your energy, where you put your focus is what grows. You do not want to lecture them about their bad behavior and making good choices and all that garbage, all that politically correct, footsie crap. It's just garbage. Kids don't react to that. Kids are like, oh God. They don't react to that very well at all. Neither do I. I hate all that stuff. I hate phony stuff. It's all so phony. Yeah, that was bad. Here's your consequence. Now, do you want to go read a book? Do you want to go play a game? That's what you do. What if they keep behaving badly? What do you mean? They don't. When you get good at this, they don't. They're going to get worse before they get better because they'll remember the old you. They're going to try and get the old you back when they were in control. I haven't been getting a lot of hate in this one. I've had a lot of opinions on this live. And a lot of the reason I do that is I'm trying to spark some controversy here because I know I get a lot of haters on here. And that's what shakes things up the most. I really like that. Because I know I'm shaking things up. And that's what I'm here for. You know, all this please your parents style that's so trendy right now. It's frustrating for me. Because I have to fix it. I have to fix it all the time. And whenever I've worked with a troubled teenager, they all say this to me. Every single one has said this to me in different ways. I wish my parents had been tougher on me growing up. In other words, I wish they'd loved me enough to discipline me. That's what they're saying. To do it properly, not hitting them, but I wish they loved me enough to discipline me when I was growing. They don't want it now, by the way. But I wish my parents had been tougher on me growing up. Interesting. Interesting, isn't it? They all realize that is love. Do you love them enough to set them straight, to teach them how to have self-discipline? Do you love them enough to teach them how to be nice to people so they'll like themselves? Do you love them enough to go through the storms that are difficult for you because you love them enough that you know that there's a rainbow at the end of it? That's what this is all about. It's not about discipline. It's about connecting with your kids and making them feel fantastic about themselves. And that'll happen naturally. If they feel great about themselves as a result of your parenting, they're gonna think the world of you. Does that make sense? Yeah, I've been doing this for so long now. It's so frustrating when I see all this other stuff that comes up. I don't say what you want to hear. I say what you need to hear, or what I believe you need to hear, right? It's my opinion, but based on 52 years of experience. And it's frustrating when people are misled. It really is. But I don't know. I'm very lucky. I've never looked. I don't know anyone else out there teaching anything about parenting. I've stayed out of all that. I've never read a book on parenting or kids or anything. I've stayed out. But think about it. How do you like to be treated? How do you like to be treated? Do you want someone to connect with you and play with you and show an interest in your music when you're a teenager, like I did with my son? I actually got into heavy metal. I still listen to Slipknot and NWA at the gym. And I'm 63 years old. I would never have done that if I hadn't opened my mind to my teenage son's style of music. Are you open-minded enough to change who you are as a result of them? Like, how much do you love your kids? Do you love your kids enough to change for them? To open your mind? They pick up on this. They just do, especially teenagers. They pick up on this. Like with my son, I hated all that heavy metal music. But then I'm open-minded. I'd say, is there anything you think I might like? And he started finding stuff. Then he'd make me playlists of music, and I got hooked on NWA's greatest hits. Look it up. I can't say the full name of it. But I still listen to it. This is like 20 years later. I don't like the other albums, just the greatest hits one. So open your mind to think about where your kids are coming from. Do they need a lecture? Do they need to be discussing what they're doing wrong? Do you want to be lectured about what you're doing wrong? No. Why do you lecture them? Yeah, they're just like us. They just can't articulate it. I always feel like I'm their voice because I understand them. And anyway, okay, enough. I've yabbered on enough. I'm running late. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I really do love what I talk about. I know I seem hard. I always feel like I'm so rough on people. But whenever I say that to a client, they say, oh, no, I don't feel judged. I feel like you're my friend. Like, really? Anyway, so I really love what I do, and I want you to enjoy parenting. That's why I say what I say. I'm not on here to make you feel bad. I'm on here to empower you and make you feel good about yourself. I want you to say, I can do this. I can enjoy my kids, but I'm going to have to go through some storms to get there. Okay? You got to earn this stuff. You got to work for it. And that's what I'm here for. I'm teaching you how to work for it. Anyway, happy parenting, and I'll talk again soon on here.